We're going to stay on our backs. And let's just extend both arms up towards the ceiling. Palms facing down towards the feet. The legs can be extended here, or the knees can be bent, whatever feels ideal for you. With an exhale, let's let our arms reach up overhead towards the space behind us. And then we'll inhale the fingers back up towards the ceiling or sky. Exhale overhead towards the space behind us. And inhale towards the ceiling or sky. Let's do that 3 more times, just with our own cycle of breaths. Complete that 3rd round. Just drop your arms to kind of a modified cactus. So fingers point towards the ceiling. Elbows are bent though in that same cactus 90 degree. And then with an exhale, we'll release the cactus. Inhale, we'll offer that internal rotation back towards the ceiling or sky. And so we're continuing the cycle of movement with the breath. We've just modified the arm positioning so that now we're getting a more rotational movement in the humeral head. And let's do this 3 more times. And then we'll just exhale and release our arms to cactus when you're done. As you get into cactus, we're just going to pause and kind of feel the shoulder integration. There's this little village, it's been around for centuries. And through the course of time, it's drifted further and further into the distortion of reality. When it feels appropriate for you, let's drop our hands down by our sides, palms up. And just kind of feel to the heel of the hand where it interlaces with the thumb. And we're going to do a full arm rotation. So this time with an exhale, we're going to go to internal rotation, palms go down. And then inhale, external rotation, palms go up. And you're just going to work back and forth between these full rotations. Really think about not just the lower arm bone rotation, not just the wrist rotation, but getting that humerus to rotate as well so that the entire arm structure is rotating with you. And then the next time that the palms come up, let's allow them to pause there for a moment. Think about setting the scapula in a place where you can get a release through the whole shoulder girdle and put your awareness back on the heel of the hand at that thumb interlace. Just trying to let those thumbs relax towards the lateral edge, lateral line of your body, of your hands. And then when it feels appropriate, let's pull our right thigh in towards the torso. And then if you have your left knee bent, see if it's in your capacity to extend the left leg. So that we end up with a little anterior hip compression on that right side. And as you're compressing the right hip, think about how you can relax the shoulder girdle so that we get back into that state of full release of the shoulder girdle. And then let's release the right leg. And we'll inhale the left thigh in, interlacing the fingers on the shin or the knee or the hamstring, whatever feels like it gives you the best anterior hip compression. Once again, as the hip is compressing, we're thinking about relaxing the shoulder girdle so that we're just at ease. And then let's release that left leg so it mirrors the right. Think about creating a line down the center of your body and both sides, the left and right side of the body, are just equally connected to the mat, equally supported by the mat. And then let's inhale and pull both thighs in towards the torso. Let the hands clasp on the shins, the knees, or the hamstrings. And so as this little village is kind of drifted, the like fraying of reality has caused stress. Stress within families, stress within village relationships, stress within the villagers themselves. Let's release the feet back down to the mat. And we'll let the knees fall to one side or the other, whatever side feels most appropriate. Just pause here just long enough to kind of feel the rotation, how the body is sitting. And then we'll press ourselves up at a seat. And as we find a seat, just let your spine get tall. Let your shoulder girdle relax. Let your shoulder girdle relax. And with an exhale, let's turn our chin towards the left. As the chin goes to the left, think about pinning that right shoulder back. And then release back to neutral. Exhale, we'll turn the chin towards the right. Think about pinning that left shoulder back. We'll relax. And let's take our arms straight out in front of us and then just place your right hand on your left elbow, left hand on your right elbow. And see if it's possible for you to get your elbow structure then over your head. And so you can go to the wrist if this feels better for you. And then we're going to turn our chin with an exhale to the left. Think once again about pinning that right shoulder back. And release to neutral. And then we'll do the same thing to the second side, exhaling to the right. Left shoulder pins back. And relax to neutral. Release your hands, palms up onto your legs, thighs, whatever feels comfortable for you. And with an inhale, let's lift our chin. Exhale back to neutral. And exhale, let's drop our chin. Keep that shoulder structure neutral, and we'll inhale back to neutral. Now let's take our arms behind us. If behind you doesn't feel accessible, grab the outer edge of your pants. If you can interlace the fingers behind you, let's do that. If you can grab opposite elbows behind you, let's do that, or opposite wrists. But we want to just kind of have this shoulder structure kind of pinned back here. And then with an exhale, we're going to turn towards the left. Keep that right shoulder engaged and retracted. And we'll come back to neutral. And same thing for the second side. Left shoulder stays pinned back. And we'll relax back to neutral. You can keep your hands behind you, if you feel like the anterior pressure of that shoulder structure is cutting off the blood, soften the position you're in. So if you're grabbing elbows, go to wrists. If you're grabbing wrists, go to interlace. If you're grabbing interlace, go to the sides of the pants. Let's exhale and drop our chin. And we'll inhale back to neutral. And then as you inhale, we're going to lift our chin. We'll exhale back to neutral. Release your hands. Palms up. And try to feel the shoulders releasing tension. Let's just give ourselves 30 seconds just to find that release of tension in our seat. Slow, fluid, easy, delicate breaths. Feels appropriate. If the eyes are closed, let's allow them to open. And let's grab our blanket. And we're going to set that up from blanket or towel. We'll set that up from a shelf fold to a hot dog fold. I can do it. Hot dog fold. And let's just set that on the left side of our mat at relative hip height. And then we are going to head onto our backs. Oh. Let your spine reacclimate. And we're going to work a little kind of hip mirroring of the shoulder work that we started with. So let's take our left ankle across our right thigh. And then you can pull that blanket in towards the edge of the hip. And with an exhale, just allow the top of the left thigh to come down towards that blanket, on that blanket. The right foot here is a tool that we're going to have at our disposal. So this is not a necessary thing. Maybe you get in this twist. This is a modified twist, right? We're not going all the way in, but we are getting into the start of that full lumbar rotation. To play with our hips a little bit more, let's see if I can show this a little better. We're going to pull, or we're going to push into that right toe mound to help with a little bit of external rotation using that leverage point of the left ankle. And we can move here. I was moving pretty fast, but I was talking and not conscious. But we can move here with the breath so that it is an inhale into the rise and an exhale into the release. That being said, you do not need to do this. This might be a little bit more musculature engagement than you're wanting out of a restorative class. But it does give a nice little play onto both hips. It also, fortunately or unfortunately, does put a little work on that high calf insertion. When it feels appropriate for you, let's bring the shape back into a neutral alignment so that the sacrum sets evenly against the mat once again. And then just bring that left ankle as close to the hip crease on the right side as is possible for you. That might mean that it's at the kneecap. Totally fine. We're adjusting for our body here, and where this left heel is sitting will be dependent upon how much room and flexibility we have this morning. So as this little village gets more and more dysfunctional, as the social friction starts to build, the economic friction starts to build, and as the social and economic friction start to build, the stress response within the community expands. And so it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy within this little village. And the villagers are aware of their stress response, the tension that they're living under. And they don't like it. When it feels appropriate, let's let the left foot come back down to the mat, and then we'll let the left knee fall out wide. And if it feels accessible to you, you'll extend the right leg so that you have a figure four, but we do have a little support under that left side. So we're not going full external rotation capacity. And then we're just going to pause here. Arms can be in cactus or T or by your side, anything that feels supportive for you. So is this tension continues to grow and expand and become more and more all-encompassing. One day, no one's even exactly sure which day, but one day, this traveling yogi shows up. He has a small pack, maybe like a liter pack, and that's it. Aside from a stool just a small wooden three-legged stool. And he plops it down in the town center. And he reaches into his little small leader bag. It's worn and there are kind of holes peeking through it, through the canvas. And he pulls out this like tent. It's not really a tent, it's more like a booth you'd see a fortune teller have. And then he goes inside. He sits down on the stool. And he waits. When it feels appropriate, let's bring our left knee back to neutral. And then we'll bend the right knee to mirror. And we'll take our blanket, hot dog folded over to the second side. And here we will take our right ankle across our left thigh. And let the top of the right thigh come down on that blanket. That puts us in the position where we have the opportunity to play with the toe mound raise, to interplay with both hips, if that feels accessible to you. Inhaling into the rise and exhaling into the release. Really thinking about this as a way to nurture your hips. Whether you're doing the heel lift or not, experience how the hips are interplayed in your lumbar rotation. When it feels appropriate for you, we'll bring the full weight of the shape back to neutral so that the sacrum ends up balanced. And with the sacrum balanced, let's pull that right ankle as close to our anterior hip crease as is possible. And we'll just pause there. Just breathe there. And so it takes some time, but the people of the village realize that a wise man has arrived. And they take this as a omen of good fortune. That this yogi has arrived to save them from the plight that they are in. And maybe that's true. When you feel balance left to right, bring that right foot back down to the mat. We'll let the right knee fall into our waiting prop, and we'll extend our left leg so that we have a figure four with a balanced sacrum. So after some time, one of the villagers pops into this little tent-like booth that this yogi has set up. The yogi is seated perfectly still on the stool. And this villager asks a question that's been plaguing him. He's worried about how the tension is impacting the harvest because of the interpersonal tension within the community seems to be dragging down the harvest production. He asks the yogi this. And the yogi is seated on this stool, eyes open, just stares blankly at this villager. And the villager waits in anticipation for the response. And a minute goes by, 2 minutes go by, 5 minutes goes by. The yogi hasn't moved, hasn't blinked. The villager's like looking at this chest to see if he's breathing, and he is. After almost 10 minutes, the villager just gets up and walks out. And when he walks out, there's like a crowd that's gathered around. And someone from the crowd shouts, "What did he say?" And the villager, he's a little bit disoriented. He comes out of this dark space and he's into this bright lights, and now there's this huge crowd gathered around and they're shouting at him, and he just kind of mumbles. He didn't say anything. And then he turns and he walks away, and the crowd starts shouting at him, calling him for BS, saying, "Tell us what he said. Don't keep these secrets." But with everyone shouting and the disorientation, this man just kind of disappears into the streets. And the crowd kind of comes to the realization that he's gone. And then there's a rush for the next person to go into this little booth. This woman beats everybody else. She pops in. And it's a little disorienting going in. You're going from this bright, loud space into this incredibly dark, quiet space. The yogi has like one little candle lit so she can see his face. She gets in and she asks a question about the generalized tension in the community. Maybe the most important question that can be asked. And she asks it. She asks it almost gleefully because she's so thrilled to have this opportunity to sit with a wise man. Give ourselves just 30 more seconds here on this second side. And when it feels appropriate for you, let's bring our right knee back up to neutral, and we'll bend the left knee to mirror the right. And then we're going to take our prop and we're going to slide it underneath the sacrum. So we're lifting our tailbone up high enough with a little bridge to slide the prop right underneath the sacrum. Now we're using a blanket here, so we want to make sure that the sacrum has enough support, but we're also, we have a pretty dense structure here. So we don't want to be we don't want the top of the blanket to be too far above the sacrum. So you don't want to be so low that the sacrum's tilting off the blanket, but you don't want to be so high that you're impacting the lumbar's ability to flex. And then we're going to see if it's possible to extend our legs on the mat. The goal here is to put a little bit of tension across the anterior of the hip girdle. If it feels like it's too much, if it feels like it's too much for the lumbar, if it feels like it's too much for the hips, rebend the knees and just go to that little supported bridge. If this is accessible for your hips, for your lumbar, let's just feel that anterior hip space. Go back to that awareness that we started the practice with, the landing into the exhale. And the rising into the inhale. Try to feel that rise in your sternum and that landing in your hips. After she asks the question, she stares at the yogi. His face is blank, his eyes are open. And she's observing him, and it's clear that he's conscious and aware. And then he's looking into her. And so she waits. She waits to hear the profound answer that she knows is coming. She waits for 1 minute, and then 3 minutes, and then 5 minutes. About 10 minutes later, she realizes nothing's coming. She gets up and she walks out of the booth. He pops back into this bright light, and there's still this crowd, and now there's even more people, and they're louder and they're shouting at her. What did he tell you? And very similar to the first villager who went in, she says, he didn't say anything. And she kind of stumbles through the crowd and disappears. And at this point, the crowd is like getting feverish. Two people have gone in for 10 plus minutes each, and they've come out and they've not been willing to share what they've been told. And so, whatever it is that they've been told, the crowd knows it must be incredibly valuable. And so, there's a near stampede for the next person to go in. This young woman gets to the front and she's lightning fast and she pops in. It turns out that her husband has been missing for about a month, and she asks a question about his whereabouts. He'll return. And she feels so lucky and so honored to be able to ask this wise man. And she sits and she waits. And she waits. And she waits. Give ourselves 60 more seconds here. And it feels appropriate for you that we bend our knees if they're not already bent. And we'll lift prop, our tailbone high enough to remove our prop. And let's grab our ball here. Do one last little neck adjustment, thing that I keep trying to work in as much as possible. So ball's going to go in the middle of the blanket like a little taco. And we're just going to put that behind your neck. And let's lower ourselves onto that ball so that we get that cervical spine adjustment. I keep trying to fit this in as much as possible. I just think that cervical spine care is something that we can all use more of. Legs can be extended, knees can be bent, bottoms of the feet can be together, and knees can fall out wide if that feels appropriate for you. And so this woman waits until she realizes that she's not going to get an answer. She gets up, she walks out. Enough time has passed that the crowd does not believe that nothing was said. She's disoriented like the previous two. She eventually disappears into the village. And someone else pops inside. And someone else asks a question. And someone else is met with silence. Remember that you have those kind of three generalized positions at the base of the skull, at the base of the cervical spine, and then the middle of the cervical spine. Each one of those positions provides a little bit of a different impact. Each one of those positions provides benefit. Your goal is just to find which of those three positions provides the most benefit for you. When it feels appropriate for you, bring your knees back into a neutral position. If they're not, we'll take that prop out from underneath us and release into the mat. We'll just ask ourselves here if there's anything that we could offer, if there's anything that we could benefit from, if there are any adjustments we could give prior to Shavasana that would impact us. And if there are, let's take this opportunity to bring those into the practice. And if you have everything that you need for some stillness, let's drift our way into just that. day after day, people would line up, sit with this wise man, stare into his silence after they asked, what is truth? Why is there suffering? How do I fix my life? And so on and so on and so on. And each time he was asked, so he said nothing. He didn't whisper, he didn't nod, he just stared back at these people. Just drifting into your version of stillness. So day after day after day, people would wait in line, be stared at blankly. They'd leave and they'd share exactly what happened, and no one would believe them. But something did start to change. The space around this little yogi's booth started to change. A young woman was seen weeping, but she wasn't crying, waiting for this wise man to fix it. An old man was seen laughing about a memory that he had long ago buried. A young child sat in stillness, legs crossed, eyes closed in meditation. And then one morning, the village woke up and the booth was gone. And with it, the yogi and his stool. And in its place, there was a stone with a carving. That carving, that inscription said something quite simple. I never came to teach. I came to be still so that you might finally hear what has never stopped speaking. Start to bring some movement to our fingers and our toes. Into our wrists and our ankles. Our elbows, our knees, shoulders, and hips, neck and head. Eventually, the entirety of the body moves, and we'll utilize that movement to transition back into a seat. In the seated space, spine gets tall, breath gets fluid, eyes closed. Let's inhale our hands together, heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself the most important answers come when you no longer need someone else to say that? And see how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of this morning's practice and for being you. Namaste. Happy Sunday, guys. Appreciate the heck out of you being here. Love the heck out of you. I'll be back tomorrow night. If you want to move, we'll do this again next Sunday. Have a beautiful day. If I see you tomorrow, have a beautiful week. If I see you next week, love you. Mwah.